The Fennec 45 versus Lachmann Sub. When I ran a poll on the best close range weapon in Warzone 2 with nearly 8,000 votes, the Fennec and Lachmann Sub were the top 2 vote getters, and I thought the best way to solve this debate was to compare the weapons directly and help you decide which weapon is the best for you to ascend your gameplay into Warzone 2 all the way to victory. I'll give you some stats, give you my opinion, and then I'll give you the best class setup for each weapon to help you dominate the competition. I'm going to start off with some big time stats that you care about the most: fire rate, time to kill, and recoil. For the fire rates, we're going to have 1,091 rounds per minute for the Fennec, and then at 800 for the Lachmann Sub. This is a big time advantage for the Fennec because it actually makes the weapon way more forgiving if you miss a shot, because the time to kill is affected less when you miss. This could be a significant factor when picking between these weapons. Now let's move over to time to kill against players with 250 health, meaning they have 3 plates on, and the Fennec 45 will be better across the board with 495 milliseconds at close range compared to 525 for the Lachmann. Those are incredibly fast because these are the 2 fastest time to kills for SMGs up at close range. And then the long range time to kills will be 880 milliseconds and 1125. Both weapons are going to have 5 damage ranges, and the Fennec's advantage is going to be the TTK grows bigger the farther you go out. The mid-range TTKs, which is going to be from about 18 meters to 25, is going to be 715 milliseconds to 900 milliseconds, which is what truly makes the Fennec one of the most used weapons, is its significant advantage in knocking players quickly over every other submachine gun. This gives the Fennec a big time upper hand when it comes to upside over the Lachmann, but then again, these are just theoretical time to kills if you hit all of your shots. The advantage will do no good if the recoil is terrible on the Fennec. So let's head over to the firing range and compare their recoil patterns. As you can see, they have very similar recoil, with both mainly having vertical. But as you can see with the Fennec, there is the smallest amount of horizontal recoil, and the Lachmann has the tiniest advantage because of this. But as I think you guys can clearly see, it isn't very difficult to manage either weapon's recoil, with both weapons having no problem beaming the targets at 10 and 20 meters. The 15 meter target is a little bit out of reach for both of them, but that's to be expected with both of them being SMGs that are their best at close range. Now I'm going to transition to the stats that people don't find as sexy, but impact how the weapons perform drastically and could make the difference in which weapon you prefer to run with. I will start with average damage at close and long range, where the Lachmann Sub will be dramatically better with 36.2 to 28.8 and 17 to 16. That results in way fewer shots to knock people up close, which is why their time to kills are so similar even with the slower fire rate on the Lachmann. But at long range, that advantage is almost gone, and that's why the Lachmann Sub's time to kill falls off so much as you get farther and farther out. But the good news for the Lachmann is the damage per mag is far better at close range with 1448 to 1296, and the Lachmann Sub could improve this to 1810 if you use the 50 round mag instead. This makes a big difference in the bigger modes such as quads, and not having to reload mid-fight all the time equates to basically faster time to kills and easier times winning at mid and close range, which is where you should be using these SMGs 100% of the time. Let's take a look at the close range damage per second, where the Fennec will be better because of its insane fire rate, and it will be 491 to 453 DPS. And what the damage per second pretty much equates to is just time to kill. Whichever weapon has the faster damage per second will have the faster time to kill, but it also takes into account damage per mag and reload time, making it a better overall indicator than TTK sometimes. With that being said, close range fights can become a lot easier to win with good mobility, so let's actually take a look into those stats. And with these stats being very similar, the Lachmann Sub will still have a minor advantage here with better movement speed and aim down sight movement, while having equal ADS and sprint to fire. The Lachmann Sub is actually the fastest mobility SMG in Warzone 2, and this will make a small difference while using the weapons, as you can move from point A to point B faster. But the ADS and sprint to fire are the most important mobility stats for close range weapons, and they're equal here. And that's why I like to use the 40 round mag on the Lachmann to keep its mobility advantage over the other SMGs. And one stat that I find to be very important on SMGs is their range. And this is where the Fennec is going to have a big time advantage over the Lachmann Sub, where it has 12 meters to the Lachmann Sub's 8. And you might not think 4 meters is a big deal, but think of it this way. That is a 50% increase over the Lachmann Sub. And those 4 meters is going to be a lot of your engagements with an SMG, where the Fennec is still absolutely frying and the Lachmann falls off a bit. So I think that could be a deciding factor when choosing between these weapons. And the last stat I would love to go over quickly is bullet velocity, where the Lachmann Sub is significantly better at 540 meters per second to 300 on the base weapons. The Lachmann Sub almost is as good as assault rifles with the base bullet velocity, which is wild. This is definitely a nice benefit to the Lachmann, but it would only come into play if you want to use these weapons as a sniper support. This shouldn't be a deciding factor when choosing between which one to use as an SMG. And I put a lot of effort into these videos, so please make sure to like the video if it's been helpful, and subscribe for more Warzone 2 content to help ascend your gameplay. And now for my verdict on which weapon is better. The Fennec for trios and below, and the Lachmann Sub for quads. The Fennec hands down is better overall than the Lachmann with its ease of use and super fast time to kill. The only drawback is its damage per mag and how fast the mag empties with its fire rate, which is why for quads it is a little bit difficult to use. That's why the Lachmann is the choice for that mode. And it is a great close range SMG, it just isn't the most versatile one you can use. But the time to kill and movement make it a top tier SMG that anyone can pick up and use effectively inside of buildings. And let's jump straight into how to set up these weapons to be their best. And I'm going to go over the Fennec 45 first, my suggestion. We're going to go with a barrel that actually makes it so we can't use a muzzle, and it's the Fennec Covert Force. And what it actually does is it has an integrated suppressor on it, and it also gives us some damage range and hipfire accuracy, while helping out its atrocious bullet velocity, because we do still want to use this thing out to 20-25 meters, and with the bullet velocity being at 300, we really do need this upgrade. And then for the tuning, what I do is I go towards recoil steadiness, because I still like the weapons to be accurate and easy to use, and this is going to help it by going up by 0.35. Next up, I'm going to use the VX Pineapple Underbarrel, because why? It gives us great hipfire as well as some recoil steadiness and aim walking steadiness. It makes the weapon more accurate all around, whether you're aimed down sight or on hipfire. And how I do the tuning is I actually go towards ADS speed at -0.25 on the bottom, because I find that to be more important than hipfire accuracy in my estimation. Then we got to go with the 45 round mag, because that's the biggest magazine we can have, and with the fire rate, you need all the extra bullets you can. And then if we move over to the rear grip, I'm going with the Fennec Rubber Grip, and this gives us sprint to fire and ADS speed, the two most important mobility stats on submachine guns, and that's why we run with this. And then for the tuning, I go to -0.1 on sprint to fire speed, just to make that even better. That way we get the fast time to kill, as well as we can shoot our weapon faster than the opponent. And for the last attachment, we're going to use the F-Tac Loctite Stock. I don't know why that was hard for me to say, but it was. And then for the tuning, we're going to go to -2.45 towards ADS speed, because as I said, that set's really important. This thing will absolutely fry up close all the way up to about 25 meters. You're not going to regret using this in trios and below. And now we're on to the Lachmann Sub. And what I'm going to do here is actually go into that bullet velocity so we can actually use this weapon out to a little bit farther ranges, because I think it's a little bit more accurate than the Fennec, so I can actually aim this really accurately out to about 35 meters, and that makes it a little bit more versatile with the movement and damage per mag. And so what I do first is I use this SMG MKV, which is damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil smoothness. And for the tuning, I'm going to go towards ADS speed, because we don't really want to lose that, so I go to -0.63, and then I like that bullet velocity as I was saying, so I max that all the way out. And then let's move to the barrel, the F-Tac M Sub 12 inch. And what does it do? It gives us bullet velocity, damage range, recoil control, and hipfire accuracy. So that damage range is a big deal, what I did with these two attachments, because it's so bad, I'm trying to make it a little bit better, so we go from about 8 to 10 meters on that initial range, which makes the weapon feel a lot nicer in more scenarios, as well as being able to use this out to farther ranges. And then I don't really do anything with the tuning. You could go for damage range if you want, but I don't really want to sacrifice our ADS speed, so I don't touch it. And then for the laser, I go with the 1MW quickfire laser for ADS speed. You could use this VLK LZR if you don't mind the laser being visible, because that will also give you sprint to fire speed, but that decision is up to you which one you prefer here. And then for the fourth attachment, I like to use this 40 round mag, because it helps out our damage mag without hurting our mobility a lot like this 50 round mag would. And then for the last attachment, we're going to use this Lachmann TCG-10 rear grip, which just helps us with recoil control, which makes this thing an absolute beam out to about 35 meters, and it actually makes it where you could use this as a sniper support if you'd like, because we got good bullet velocity, we increased the range, and we made the recoil really nice. But it also works really great as an SMG. And if you want to know what long range weapon to pair with these weapons, make sure to click on this video right here. Peace.